The living room built-in videos keep coming. But this is the fourth and final video of this series. If you haven't seen the whole project, I'll link a card up here where it's a complete overview, 8-minute overview of the entire project from start to finish. In this particular video, I dive deep into how I made the doors for the lower cabinets. Let me show you how I did it. Alright, so now I have to build the 8 doors that will go on the front of the cabinets. To do that, I've looked up a couple different techniques. There's so many different ways to build simple shaker style cabinet doors. I'm going to use HalfLaps. I think this honestly will be the simplest way. I'm just going to use 2 tools. I'm going to use the miter saw to cut all my outside pieces, which is the same as I'm using as my trim, and then I'm going to use the table saw for everything else. Alright, so I'm over here at the table saw now, and I swapped out my traditional blade with my dado stack blade. And so what the dado stack does is it is just a wider blade. So when I'm doing these HalfLaps, which you'll see here in a second, I can take off more at a time. Alright, so I got a couple cutoffs here of the exact material that I'm using. And so what I'm going for here is that these corners overlap like this, but they're going to be, we're going to remove half of the material right here and half of the material on this side, and when these sit together like this, it'll be this thickness. In order to do that, to get it a perfect fit, the blade height is the perfect thickness of half, so I can overlap these and they join together. We ran a couple tests, trial and error, and although this isn't the way they're going to line up, because they're going to line up this way, I just want to check the blade depth. And so we've got it now where that thickness is perfect. So I removed half of it from here, half of it from here, and they'll stick together. One thing to note when doing HalfLaps is it does matter which side of the HalfLap you put on a certain side of the board. So in this case, as long as I put the HalfLaps on opposite sides to where this piece is on, has it in this side, and then this piece has it on this side, then they'll lock together. If I put it on this side and this side, I would have to flip this piece over, and that might mess up, which side you want facing forward and how it looks. So a little thought ahead of time of which side you're actually cutting it on will matter. So now that I know that this distance is correct here and everything is a good locking fit, we can put a stop block, a clamp right here, and that way I don't have to measure every time. I just know that the farthest I need to go is this up against this right here. Now it's time for a ton of HalfLaps. This is one that I've already assembled. You can see the HalfLaps here. I've got glue and clamps. We'll set this one to the side, and I will assemble one. So the speed of which you can glue these up is dictated by how many clamps you have. Alright, so now it's time to put the rabbet in the back of these door frames. So I've got a rabbeting bit in here. I have set it to the depth of my plywood. And so the idea is we're going to cut this groove in here around this edge so we can set a panel that fits perfectly inside this frame. So one thing about doing it this way is that you will see the corners will be rounded because of the round bit in the square corner. So we will actually have to round the corners of our plywood. It won't be a perfect fit in there if we leave them at a 90-degree angle. I'm going to do that over on the belt sander, just real quick, just a little round over, just so they'll sit in there flat. We'll put some glue in there, put some weight on it, and we will have something that looks like a door. Alright, so the next step on these doors is to sand all this wood filler down. I went ahead last night and filled all of the gaps, any kind of gap I filled, because these are going to be painted one solid color. They're going to be painted white. So prepping the surface, and then we'll be on to painting them and then installing them. One last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to caulk this inside seam here, and that way everything is nice and smooth. Alright, to install these doors, it's really simple. It's just one screw, and then there's adjustment in these. And for right now, I'm measuring down the same height to get them all level. But this adjustment will allow me to come back and really perfect how they swing and get them to line up and level up. So the doors didn't turn out too bad. Now, one thing that I would have done a little differently is my dado stack was kind of set weird, and I had a very tiny ridges in my HalfLaps. And what that did was it caused, you know, extra wood filler, extra sanding, extra chiseling, trying to get those out of there. I'm not sure what happened. It was very, very small, but when you're trying to fit those joints together, that makes a difference. But all in all, they turned out fantastic. I'm happy with them. And I would do it this way again. It's a very simple way to make some shaker style doors. If you haven't seen those videos, be sure to check them out right here. I'll list them all in one playlist, and you can binge on them from beginning to end. And I hope you find it inspirational, but also educational and something that you find you could do yourself. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to do that and hit the bell so you're notified when I upload new videos. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time I'm building something.